What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk to you guys about problems collecting for the Nintendo Gamecube. The Nintendo Gamecube is easily a very collectible game console with this wonderful library of games, its perfect nostalgia factor. It is just a very sought after game console among collectors. However, even though I believe it is one of my personal favorite game consoles of all time, it's not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to collecting for the Nintendo Gamecube. In this video, I'm going to go over a few problems that you can experience when collecting for the Nintendo Gamecube, and these are all problems that I've experienced in one way, shape, or form. So without further ado, let's jump right into this video's topic, take a look at some problems that you will encounter when collecting for the Nintendo Gamecube right after the intro. Alright, so starting off the list with problems when it comes to collecting for the Nintendo Gamecube is essentially, I'm just going to start off by pointing out the elephant in the room, and that is, it is a really expensive game console to collect for. If you are trying to go for exclusive titles and exclusive releases that were put onto the Nintendo Gamecube, such as Chibi Robo or some of the Resident Evil remakes, or Kirby Air Ride, or the Pikmin games, or whatever, right? These are really expensive games. The most expensive game right now for the Nintendo Gamecube to collect is Pokemon Box, which can easily go up to $4,000 if you want to buy that game complete in box. Like I said, it is not a cheap console to collect for. It is true that a lot of the third-party titles, such as Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, are cheap on the Gamecube, at least compared to some of the more exclusive titles. However, when it comes to third-party releases on the Gamecube, they're always, in my opinion, going to be cheaper on the original Xbox or the PlayStation 2. So if you're going to get something like Lego Star Wars or Madagascar, or like I just mentioned earlier, Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, you're usually going to be paying a higher price if you were to buy the GameCube release than if you were to buy it on the original Xbox or the PlayStation 2. Of course, since the console is so expensive to collect for, it has caused me to slow down quite a bit when it comes to collecting. I haven't bought a GameCube game for quite a while, unfortunately, but I will say when it comes to problems when collecting for the GameCube, the prices are easily something that I think of first when it comes to some of its notable problems. Now, this is a very notable problem when it comes to the Nintendo Gamecube, and that is disc rot. So what is disc rot? It is essentially when a disc begins to break down over time, either because of humidity or climate issues or whatever, whether if it's like really hot or, like I said, the humidity is high. Essentially, maybe the game wasn't really produced very well when it came to its manufacturing, and it unfortunately makes the game more susceptible and prone over time, where the disc will degrade and eventually will become unplayable. Unfortunately, when it comes to disc rot, there is no fix to it whatsoever. There are only preventative measures, and unfortunately when it comes to the Nintendo Gamecube with its very, very small discs, its discs unfortunately make it more susceptible to disc rot. If you want to know more about disc rot, I have a video that I'll be showing somewhere that you guys can check out, so that way you guys can learn a little bit more about disc rot, because I do go a lot more in depth into detail with the issue. But for the most part, when it comes to disc rot when collecting for the Gamecube, you want to make sure that when you get your games, keep them in like a climate controlled area. You know, don't make sure that it's like an AC, not too hot, not too cold. Make sure that the humidity doesn't get too high. You know, at least, you know, treat it with some common sense, and you should be all right. Again, it's a preventative measure. There's no way to completely eliminate disc rot from ever happening to any disc, but you know, if you do take care of your stuff, there is a very good chance that it will last a very, very long time. Another issue that's worth mentioning when it comes to collecting for the Nintendo GameCube is that it's pretty competitive to collect for. Unfortunately for the Nintendo GameCube, it was the least selling game console out of the 6th generation compared to the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. Out of those three, the Nintendo GameCube did sell the least, and unfortunately, because the GameCube did not sell as well as it should, unfortunately, the supply was pretty low when it compared to the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. Since that is the case, there is a lot of competition for these games, especially since a lot of people now have realized that the Nintendo GameCube had a ton of great games and a fantastic lineup of games throughout its game library. And now, since everybody is aware that the Nintendo GameCube was such an awesome console, it has now created a problem where not only do you have the prices to be really, really high, but of course, when you are finding or hearing about a GameCube game at your local thrift store, garage sale, it's very difficult to get a deal for the Nintendo GameCube along with its games. Because of that, that is, in my opinion, a very prominent issue when it comes to collecting for the GameCube. This is a problem that I have come across multiple times when looking around locally for garage sales and all that stuff. I've had the problem of constantly being beat by other people who just happen to get there early than me. It's, like I said, it's just a very competitive game console to collect for. I wish that wasn't the case, but anyway, that is an issue when it comes to collecting for the GameCube. Now, another common issue when it comes to collecting for the Nintendo GameCube is the yellowing on the front of the consoles themselves. As you can see here, my Indigo GameCube has some yellowing on the front, while my Silver GameCube has no yellowing on the front at all. Now, thankfully, with this yellowing, it is purely a cosmetic issue. Your GameCube isn't going to stop reading games one day because it's got yellowing, or it's not going to turn on one day. It's just purely cosmetic. It's a little bit of an eyesore, but it's not a horrific issue. Thankfully, it is an issue that you can fix. There are plenty of YouTube tutorials on how to get rid of the yellowing on your GameCube, but I'm not going to show you how because there's a ton of videos out there already that will show you just that. The only reason that my Indigo GameCube still has that yellowing is just, frankly, to be honest, I've just been crazy lazy and I just haven't gone around to removing it. But maybe one day I will remove the yellowing on my GameCube because it is relatively an easy fix. But of course, thankfully, it isn't a major issue. It is just a common issue that just happens to be cosmetic. But it is something that I do consider worth talking about because, like I said, it is a relatively common problem if you are going to start collecting or already collecting for the Nintendo GameCube. Now, unfortunately, there are some more disc-based problems when it comes to collecting for the Nintendo GameCube, and that is the discs are pretty sensitive. So what do I mean by this? Say you get a GameCube disc and it's got scratches on it and you want to get it resurfaced because either there's a part in the game that's skipping, you just don't like the fact that it's got scratches on there, whatever the case may be, you want to resurface your GameCube disc. Unfortunately, when it comes to getting GameCube games resurfaced and all that wonderful stuff, unfortunately, they are pretty sensitive. And because they are so sensitive, you have to be careful with getting them resurfaced because of how small the discs are and because since they're so small, they're more prone to scratches easier. And unfortunately, these scratches are more detrimental when it comes to the discs, basically because of its small size. Now, it's not, in my opinion, a issue that's worth avoiding collecting for the Nintendo GameCube. I just consider it more of a headache, but you know, it's not really that much of a big deal in my opinion anyway. It's just more than just, you know, if you're going out somewhere, you're picking up a game, it's not any different than checking to be like, oh, does the game have a lot of scratches? If it has a lot of scratches, you put it back, unless if you happen to have some disc resurfacing machine. But for the most part, when it comes to the GameCube, it is more sensitive to scratches, and you do have to be more careful with resurfacing it, because when you resurface the game, you will remove more layers of the disc, and because the disc is so small already, it's unfortunately more sensitive to such circumstances. But of course, that is another thing that's worth talking about when it comes to problems when collecting for the GameCube. Alright, and that'll conclude my video when it comes to problems when collecting for the Nintendo GameCube. Did you find any of the information helpful, informative? What are some problems for the GameCube that I didn't mention that you think are worth noting? Feel free to comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Of course, give this video a like if you did enjoy it, found it helpful, informative, all that wonderful stuff. Of course, please do consider subscribing because I post a ton of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So if that is something that you guys are into, please do consider subscribing. But if you're going to subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that way you will be notified when I upload a video just like this. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.